Good evening, 5th grade. You're welcome to lesson 7-4, dividing by a whole number. Your learning goal for this evening is to find quotients of problems in which the dividend and or the quotient is a decimal. 2 learning goals for this evening. Please take the time to write them both in your spiral. Pause the video and then you may continue. Your first learning goal is to use the standard division algorithm to divide the numbers, then place the decimal where it belongs. Your second learning goal is to find quotients of problems in which the dividend and or the quotient is a decimal. Pause the video, write these down. When you have finished, restart the video. All right, let's look at an example together and see how we do this. All right, draw your dividing house. I want you to make sure you do all examples with me today. I don't want you to skip any or pretend like you do them, because it's essential that you do them, because you get to school and then you're really struggling to do the problems in class because you're not doing them. So take the time to really do these. All right, your divisor goes on the outside of the dividing house. Your divisor is 4. On the inside of your dividing house goes your dividend. Your dividend is 28 4/10. When you are dividing with decimals, your decimal point has to immediately be brought up onto the top of the dividing house. So your decimal goes in the exact same position directly above it on top of the roof. And then you forget about it until you're done. Then you divide like normal. Remember your steps: divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. So 4 divides into 2. It can't go into 2, so nothing, remember, goes above that 2. 4 can divide into 28, and 4 divides into 28 7 times. So that 7 belongs above the 8. 4 times 7, because multiply is your next step, is 28. Put the 28 directly here and subtract. You get 0. Your next step is to bring down your 4. 4 divides into 4. 1 time, it goes directly above that 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Subtract, you get 0. There's nothing left to bring down. So your answer to this problem, 28 4/10 divided by 4, is 7 1/10. Remember, when you divide by decimals, you are going to get a smaller number because you are, again, dividing by decimals. All right, let's go on and do your next practice problem. I'll set this up for you. Then I want you to do this in your spiral. Pause the video, and then when you start it, I'll do it with you. So let me set this up for you. 17 is your divisor. It goes on the outside of your dividing house. 22 1/10 is your dividend. It goes on the inside of your dividing house. Pause the video, do the problem yourself, restart it, and let's see how well you did. All right, let's take a look at this. Remember, the first thing you want to do is put your decimal right above there on the roof of your dividing house. Then think of your steps: divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. 17 cannot divide into 2. Nothing goes above your 2. It can divide into 22. Since 17 is very close to 22, you know it's only going to go in there 1 time. 17 times 1 is 17. We need to subtract that. You're going to borrow from the 2. It becomes a 1. You borrowed a 1, put it in front of the 2. 12 minus 7 is 5. Can't divide 17 into 5, so you need to bring down your 1. You have to think 17 into 5. If you can't think like that, you have to give a good guesstimate. So when you guess, cover up these last 2 numbers. Cover up the 7 and the 1, and think 1 divides into 5. Then come over here and multiply that. We know that 1 can go into 5 times. So let's give that a good guesstimate. 5 times 7 is 35. Put your 5, carry your 3. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. 85 is entirely too big. So now you know that you need to go smaller. We're going to go a couple numbers smaller just to see about where we lie. So we're going to multiply. We're going to go to a 3. 17 times 3. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry our 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Obviously, 3 is our choice. You're going to put the 3 directly above your 1, because that's the number we brought down. 17 times 3 is 51. Subtract, and you get 0. So 21 1/10 divided by 17 is 1 3/10. Hopefully you did really well. Let's go to your next practice problem. All right, let's try this one together. I'll set it up for you, and then I want you to do the problem and then restart your video, and we'll go through it together. 36 27 hundredths goes inside your dividing house, divided by 9. Do the problem, stop the video, start it again when you have finished, and see how well you have done. All right, let's try this together. First thing you need to do, bring your decimal up here on the rooftop and think, can 9 divide into 3? Here's your steps: divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. 9 can't divide into 3, so nothing goes above your 3. Think of your number sense. 9 divides into 36 4 times. I'm going to multiply. 9 times 4 is 36. My next step is to subtract. 36 minus 36 is 0. I'm going to bring down my 2. That's my next step. 9 goes into 2 0 times. So if you say that out loud, it's going to help you remember to put a 0 above the 2. 9 times 0 is 0. Subtract. It'll keep all of your columns straight. You get a 2. Bring down your 7. 9 can divide into 27 3 times. Put your 3 above the 7 because that's what you dropped. 3 times 9 is 27. Subtract. You have nothing left. So your answer to 36 and 27/100 divided by 9 is 4 3/100. Hopefully you did very well. All right, let's do one more of these practice problems. You set it up, try it, pause the video. When you're ready, start the video and see how well you did. All right, let's try this one together. 10 goes on the outside of your division house. 1 57/100 goes on the inside. Dividend, divisor. First step, bring your decimal point up on top of the roof. 10 can't divide into 1, so nothing goes above the 1. If you want to put a 0 there to help you keep it straight, you can do that too. You've already brought your decimal point up. Now think, 10 divided into 15, it goes 1 time. 1 times 10 is 10. Your next step is to subtract. 15 minus 10 is 5. Next step, bring down your 7. 10 divides into 57 5 times. 10 times 5 is 50. Subtract, you're going to get 7, and this is where it got tricky. Remember, I kind of taught you this in yesterday's lesson. After the decimal point to the right of it, if you annex a 0, it does not change the value of a number. One more time, when you annex a 0 to the right of a decimal point on a number, it does not change the value. And you have to do that here to finish out the problem, because when you have decimals, you do not have remainders. So you're going to annex that 0, and then you're going to bring it down so you can finish that problem. So now you have 10 divided into 70. 10 goes into 70 7 times. 10 times 7 is 70. Subtract, and you have 0. So your answer to 1 57/100 divided by 10 is 157 thousandths. That was kind of difficult. Hopefully you did well. You might see some of those in today's assignment. You might not, but you'll see some in the future. All right, let's look at your word problem. If it will cost Mrs. Tim $35.14 to get 7 manicures, how much will it cost to get 1 manicure? Remember that you're working on division. So take a minute, set up this division problem, see what you get, pause the video, then when you restart it, I'll do it with you. All right, let's look at this together. So Mrs. Tim, while she's off taking care of her baby, has decided that she needs some manicures. So 7 manicures. It's going to cost her $35.14 to get 7 of them. So we have to set up this division problem. So inside your dividing house is $35.14. We're going to divide that by 7. Two things, when you divide by money, there's 2 things to bring up. The very first thing is your decimal, and the second thing is the $sign, because you always want to label. 7 cannot go into 3, so nothing goes above the 3. But it can go into 35. 7 divides into 35 5 times. 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract, you get 0. Bring down your 1. 7 goes into 1 0 times. Don't forget that. So above the 1, you have to put a 0. Subtract your 0, you get 1. One more number to bring down your 4. 7 divides into 14 twice. 7 times 2 is 14. When you subtract 14, that's kind of a mess down there, you get 0. So each of her manicures are $5.02. And I don't know where she's getting those, but I want one because that's pretty cheap. So the answer is One manicure will cost $5.02. Don't forget to label that when you put that in your notebook. All right, let's look at your challenge problem for today. Mr. Edison needs 35 and 902 thousandths inches of wire filament to make 58 light bulbs. How much wire will it take to make each light bulb? Show your work in your journal. Explain your answer and come back tomorrow ready to check your work in class. Please make sure you do it. Your teachers are going to start checking every single day from now on if they haven't done so. All right, finish up. Review your learning goals. Have you measured all of them? Do you know, or do you need to go back and review and practice again any of them? Please mark a 1, 2, or a 3 for your understanding. Any questions that you might have for your teacher. Make sure you have any vocabulary, all your learning goals, all your practice problems, word problems, and your answer to your challenge problem written in your notebook. Have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Please make sure you do all your work. Have a good night.